I'm convinced that this gospel is something I need to preach to myself daily. And that's not because I need to be saved daily. I know God has saved me, and since he has saved me, that's done. So why would I need to preach this to myself every day? Well, because let's think about this for a second. Life is hard. Jesus said he came to give us life to the full, but he didn't say, I came to give you the easiest life possible. Life is difficult, right? And there's often times where I find myself discouraged. I find myself a bit down in the dumps. I find myself looking at my situation, being discontent because it's not what I've been working for, because it feels like I'm in a pit that's unescapable sometimes, because I look around and just everything makes me angry, because I feel like I have all of these needs that I don't know how to fulfill, because my body's falling apart and I'm sick, or I feel terrible, or I'm exhausted, or when I experience some horrific tragedy and I don't know what to do with it. How does the gospel come into play in all these scenarios? Well, first and foremost, I know that there's hope, Like Paul says in Romans, that we know that God works all things for good for those who love him and those who are called according to his purposes. Those that he saved, he works all things for our good and for his glory. And so I preach that gospel to me, that God doesn't see me as the wretch that I feel like. He sees me as righteous, as the righteousness of Jesus. And not only that, but this, whatever I find myself in, while it may not be from him, he will use it for my good. He gives me hope. When I find myself discouraged, I can remind myself that the God of the universe has looked down and seen me as his enemy and still saved me. I can remember that discouragement does not come from the Lord. It doesn't. Correction comes from the Lord. He corrects us because he loves us. Rebukes can come from the Lord and from his word because he loves us and it's for our good. Discouragement is not from him. Discouragement comes when I look at myself and I look at my power, I look at things I can control, and I stop looking at him. So when I preach the gospel to myself, I can be reminded that it is a good God who is in control, who loves me, who wants what is best for me, who will use these things for my good. When I'm sick, when something is not going the way I want it to go, and when a tragedy happens, how can the gospel help me in that situation? I can think of this verse in the book of James that's kind of become my life verse, the verse I go to again and again and again, and it's so not the super happy fun one that people normally have, but it's in the book of James, and James, who happens to be the baby brother of Jesus, actually exhorts the early church to consider it joy when you face trials of many kinds. When your life is hard, when nothing's going your way, he says, be joyful, consider it joy, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And when perseverance finishes its work, you will be perfect and complete and not lacking anything. Be happy when your life is hard and rough, because God is working in such a way in you that he will produce something beautiful. He will work it for good. He will build a character in you that otherwise could not be in there. And then he will use that character not only for your good, for his glory, but the good of everyone around you, so that you can be an example and say, look what God did. Yeah, maybe my life looks like this, but I have hope. Let me tell you about my Savior, Jesus.